TV. It's election week, 2 days left until Ugandans cast their votes. Who will be the next president of Uganda? Who will be your next leader at all levels of public governance? Keep in mind that 53% of women have registered to vote. What happens to the 47% of men? Well, they also vote, but that also speaks into a lot as to how women take on such activities versus the men. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. I am with Joan Murungi and Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, a team that is very excited. All the three of us and the crew behind the scenes, we are very excited for this week. Looking forward to serving Ugandans the best way possible, and of course to the expectation of one who gave us this opportunity to serve Ugandans. Joan, good morning.
Good morning, Julie. How have you been?
Very well, thank you.
How was your weekend?
It was amazing.
I know it must be, the tension must be now rising because it's Thursday is just a few days away.
Indeed, it is a few days away. Tension or not,
Yeah.
as the team here, I know we're ready.
Okay, and good morning to you, our viewers. And of course, we cannot deny the fact that it is election week. Remember, Monday mornings are always a reminder that you can handle whatever this week throws at you, including maintaining and keeping peace, of course, before, during, and after the elections. But in Moroto district, over 118 polling stations were confirmed by the Electoral Commission and are set to operate. And of course, there are the RDC, that is, Benon Kwekiris confirmed the receipt of the polling materials. So people in Moroto do not say we have not received over the weekend.
Right.
They did receive. And of course, in Gomba district, the officials and in presence of tight security and other representatives of political parties received over 252 ballot boxes and from the Electoral Commission in Kampala to the EC in Gomba ahead of the 15th January 2026 general election. So people do not refrain from voting, especially the corporate class. You know, you love talking about politics and voting, but when the day comes, you never vote. Corporate class, please go and vote on Thursday.
And it's a public holiday that day, so no one has no one has a reason as to why they did not vote or because they have deadlines to beat. It's a public holiday, so let's make sure that we go cast our votes. Robert, good morning.
Lovely morning to you, Julie, and of course, Joan, and above all, our viewer. Thank you very much. The final week, the week in which Ugandans are going to the polls to choose their leaders. That is, starting with president and members of parliament. Now, important to note is campaigns are ending tomorrow.
Yes, true.
Campaigns are ending tomorrow. Do not tempt your candidate to go above that. Once the time that campaigns end clocks, that is tomorrow, it is done and dusted. Many candidates make mistakes. They are seen overnight, during the night, trying to make final touches. I don't know which final touches, end up bribing. Now someone gets to parliament and he's disqualified or loses a seat because of evidence of campaigning beyond time and bribing. Usually that night, the night of ushering us into the voting day, now that Wednesday night, people do a lot of mistakes. I've seen a number of candidates, that's where they lost it in court.
Indeed.
They try to move around and they make mistakes. Now, you Ugandans, make sure if you're supposed to attend any rallies, it is today and tomorrow. Then also very important to note, Julie and Joan, we've seen a pattern of increase in number of registered voters.
True.
In all election cycles, numbers of registered voters keep increasing. But there is one funny thing. Percentages of voters who turn up to vote keeps reducing.
That is very true, Robert. Looking at some of the statistics we have in regards to that, 2021, 18,103,603 voters registered and only 10,744,319 voted. In 2016, 15,277,198 voters registered, but only 329,131 voted. And in 2011, 13,954,129 voters registered, and only 8,220,072.
So it is very important, you just registering and not going to vote. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
It is your vote that will determine your leader, not you being a registered voter. And it's at this time that you should be aware of which polling station you're going to vote at. I've seen people, you come at a polling station, then they tell you this is not where you're voting from. You must have your voter slip. You must be very sure of where exactly. If it is A to Z, and that is where you go. If it is this, so make sure you're very, very sure of where you're going to vote, and please turn up and vote.
Very true.
Turn up and vote. Don't confuse your candidates. They had rallies, you were there, you don't vote, and then the candidate says, I was reached because when I look at the number of people I had,
right,
this couldn't, it doesn't tarry. Please turn up.
Indeed. Robert reminds me of a statement someone made this morning that as Ugandans, our minds change while in the basin. While we campaign for someone and are so vehement and vigorous about a particular candidate, at the point of ticking, our hands change and we vote another. Very interesting at that. But on that note, Robert, let's have a look at what we have on the local scene.
Well, we begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who came as he comes to the end of the campaigning trail ahead of the January 15th polls. He has welcomed hundreds of NRM converts from opposition parties alongside Muslim leaders and youth cohorts in a show of unity and cross-cutting appeals. The meeting was at a rally at Koro Independence Grounds. Museveni committed to meeting 16 representatives of the opposition converts, lecturing them on universal primary education's failure due to self-seeking legislators, while championing wealth creation through a Myoga and parish development model program that voters must embrace. He positioned healthcare as a public service marred by medical theft from health centers, stressed that most jobs should come from private sector growth, and pledged to weave public school expenses come next term, while praising successful immunization drives. Addressing Muslim leaders who raised exclusion from economic empowerment, demands for jailed members' release and scholarships, and an Islamic Institute for Nationalism, Museveni rejected friction claims, reaffirming NRM's non-partisan religious stance, and plans to consolidate a Kanyehamba-led council to resolve grievances. To Sauti ya Vijana Youth, led by former chairman Jacob Reru, representing 3.1 million young voters and graduates, the president highlighted 30% of Ugandans are still out of the money economy despite industrial growth, urging robust road infrastructure and warning against corruption as a mass killer. Forum for Democratic Change FDC presidential candidate Nathan Nanda Mafabi expressed concern over the lack of a seed secondary school in Sironko district, saying limited land shouldn't hinder educational development. While campaigning in Sironko, Mafabi said seed schools can be constructed as on small plots, all through multi-storied building. Mafabi held rallies in Butenza, Bugusege, and Buwalase town, where large crowds gathered. He also interacted with the residents, receiving farm produce as a sign of support. At Mbogo Primary School playgrounds in Bukuro sub-county, Mafabi pledged to address teenage pregnancy and improve teachers' welfare through equal pay. He thanked residents for trusting him as Budali, the West Member of Parliament for 25 years, and promised to prioritize education and social services. Alliance for National Transformation and presidential candidate Major General Mugisha Muntu pledged to fight corruption at the highest level of government, blaming poor service delivery on the misuse of public funds. General Muntu made the remarks while campaigning in Bushenyi and Ibanda districts, where he addressed rallies in Ishaka Town Council, Retuha Town Council and Katunda in Igara West constituency. He also promised to reduce the number of members of parliament to reduce government expenditure. Muntu told supporters that Uganda needs accountable leadership focused on service delivery. And the National Unity Platform, NUP, led by its presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, together with the family of veteran opposition figure Dr. Kizza Besigye and the opposition leaders, held a special prayer service for political prisoners at Dr. Besigye's home in Kasangati. The prayers were led by Father Samuel Kabogoza from Rubaga Parish, St. Matiya Mulumba, Old Kampala, and were attended by families of detainees, opposition politicians, and religious leaders. NUP Secretary General Davis Lubongoya and Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, plus other members of parliament, were among the other figures that joined the gathering. During the mass, Father Kabogoza condemned what he described as selective justice and urged judicial officers to uphold human rights, especially in politically sensitive cases. The priest later presented Kyagulanyi with a cross symbolizing leadership sacrifice and donated money to support campaign logistics. Addressing the gathering, the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago criticized what he called enforcement agencies over harassing and badly treating opposition politicians. Dr. Kizza Besigye's wife, Bini Byanyima, thanked NUP for organizing the prayers and handed over funds donated by Dr. Kizza Besigye to support Kyagulanyi's campaign. During the opposition prayers, supporters were in one standing with those that are detained and praying for their release. Well, with that story, we come to the end of our local stories this morning. I don't know what Joan has for us, but let's see what is trending on the international scene.
Of course, from the global coverage, we always have a load for you. And we are beginning off with Iran that has warned it will retaliate if attacked by the US. As BBC sources and activists report, hundreds of protesters that have now been killed in an escalating government crackdown. As quoted, "Things here are very, very bad," a source in Tehran said on Sunday. "A lot of our friends have been killed. They were firing live rounds. It's like a war zone. The streets are full of blood. They are taking away bodies in trucks." Now, the BBC counted about 180 body bags in footage from a morgue near Tehran. The US-based human rights activist news agency says it has verified the deaths of 495 protesters and 48 security personnel nationwide. Another 10,600 people have been detained over the fortnight of unrest, the agency says. The US has threatened to strike Iran over the killing of protesters, and President Donald Trump has said on Saturday that the US stands ready to help as Iran is looking at freedom. Trump did not elaborate on what the US was considering. He has been briefed on options for military strikes on Iran. An official told the BBC's US news partner CBS. Other approaches could include boosting anti-government sources online, using cyber weapons against Iran's military, or imposing more sanctions, officials told the Wall Street Journal. And of course, forging forward, about 550,000 accounts were blocked by Meta during the first days of Australia's landmark social media ban for the kids. Now, in December, a new law began requiring that the world's most popular social media sites, including Instagram and Facebook, stop Australians aged under 16 from having accounts on their platforms. The ban, which is being watched closely around the world, was justified by campaigners and the government as necessary to protect children from harmful content and algorithms. Companies, including Meta, have said they agree more is needed to keep young people safe online. However, they continue to urge for other measures, with some experts raising similar concerns. As quoted, "We call on the Australian government to engage with industry constructively to find a better way forward, such as incentivizing all of industry to raise the standard in providing safe, privacy-preserving, age-appropriate experiences online instead of blanket bans," Meta said in a blog update. The company said it blocked 330,639 accounts on Instagram, 173,497 on Facebook, and 39,916 on Threads during its first week of compliance with the new law. And coming back to the mother of nature, that is Sudan. Sudan's military-led government has returned to the country's capital after nearly 3 years of operating from its wartime base in the eastern city of Port Sudan. Now, Sudan's Prime Minister Camille Idris told reporters on Sunday that the Government of Hope was officially back in Khartoum and would begin efforts to improve services for the city's beleaguered residents. The military was forced out by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces when civil war erupted between the two sides in 2023. The army recaptured it in a significant breakthrough last March. Khartoum has been recovering from years of fighting. Roughly 5 million fled the city at the height of the conflict, and this is according to the UN. Those unwilling or unable to leave described a brutal RSF occupation, which included mass looting and fighters taking over civilian homes. Huge swaths of the city lie in ruins. And in October, the UN official, Uganda Daniels, reported the basic services were barely functioning. But yesterday, Idris said the government would work on improving electricity, water, healthcare, and education in Khartoum. He also declared that 2026 would be a year of peace for Sudan, where at least 150,000 people have died since the war erupted. And of course, that is it that we had for you from our international scene.
Right, thank you very much, Joan. Now looking at what we have in the dailies today, starting off with the new vision, government releases 16.5 trillion shillings for third quarter. Yep, Ugandan economy projected to grow by 7%. That's one story to look into. Now the other is in matters conservation, rhino transferred, a picture there in the new vision. Read more about it in there. And looking at matters politics, Kyagulanyi Mafabi woo new voters. Also, election observers start arriving. And in matters health, how Biamukama recovered from sickle cell disease. And in the new vision, protecting the gains, securing Uganda, 16 pages inside, more than 180 job offers inside, and of course, know your polling station right there in the new vision. Now heading to the Daily Monitor, the final bend, that is the headline in the Daily Monitor, a picture of some of the presidential candidates. And of course, one picture that has, one idea that has seemed to amuse most Ugandans is General Montu's line. That design, it has amused Ugandans in this political season. But final up as the 8 presidential candidates surround the final bend to polling day on Thursday. The contestants retreat to their home cities to marshal support for the final showdown rallies today and tomorrow. And other stories to look into inside the World Bank's plan for agro-industry, also fate of school children living with sickle cell, and the candidates who will spend election day behind bars. Yes.
The likes of Mufombira.
Yeah, the likes of Mufombira. The Lizard, let's see what the Lizard has to say. It seems democracy is expensive. And that is regarding to MP contestants resort to fundraisers ahead of polls. Now, flying to the rest of East Africa, let's go to the Citizen. That is in Tanzania. How trade in body parts complicates war on female genital mutilation. We reveal how the existence of a clandestine trade in human body parts derived from female genital mutilation has complicated efforts to eradicate the harmful practice despite the presence of policies, laws, and regulations outlawing it. Sad indeed. Anyways, why Chinese foreign ministers visit matters, and also Zanzibar marks 62 years of progress in key sectors. ZITF touted as small traders gateway to international markets. And student develops tech to break disability barriers. Now let's look at Kenya with the Daily Nation, why we won't be joining grade 10. As thousands of students report to their new schools today, a different reality confronts many of their peers across the country. Despite excelling in the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, they now face a painful truth. Their academic success may not lead to progression to senior school because their families cannot afford school fees. Also, ODM convenes meeting amid Oburu ouster plot, and Ruto to Mount Kenya voters, I will not abandon you. Now, looking at the Gazette, table of contents should be displayed there. And notices to pay heed to in exercise of the powers conferred upon by the President. By Section 2 of the Public Holidays Act, I declare 15th and 16th January 2026 to be observed as a public holiday throughout Uganda for the purpose of enabling citizens to participate in the presidential and parliamentary elections given under my hand and the public seal this 8th day of January 2026. Yoweri K. Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda. And looking at the Marriage Act, place for celebration of marriage. The church is Generation Impact Ministries, denomination Pentecostal Village, Nakabugo. And the parish is Nakabugo, Sub-County Wakiso, Sub-County, County Wakiso, and District Wakiso, given under the hand of the Honorable Norbert Mao, Minister of Justice and Public Affairs and Constitutional Affairs, pardon me. As of the 17th day of December 2025. And the other notice to pay heed to is new appointments or replacements to Board of Governors. And that is Foundation Body Representatives, names displayed, and parents representatives. This is for the Board of Governors of Nyai Secondary School with effect from 6th October 2025. Then brings us to the end of what we have in the dailies today, and of course a roundup of the stories we have this morning. Let's have a short break, and when we get back, we'll be looking at the role of the youth in promoting peace during and after election season. 0709602592. It's the WhatsApp number that you should save to be part of the show. Good morning. Have on the local scene?
Well, we begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who came as he comes to the end of the campaigning trail ahead of the January 15th polls. He has welcomed hundreds of NRM converts from opposition parties alongside Muslim leaders and youth cohorts in a show of unity and cross-cutting appeals. The meeting was at a rally at Koro Independence Grounds. Museveni committed to meeting 16 representatives of the opposition converts, lecturing them on universal primary education's failure due to self-seeking legislators, while championing wealth creation through a Myoga and parish development model program. that voters must embrace. He positioned healthcare as a public service marred by medical theft from health centers, stressed that most jobs should come from private sector growth, and pledged to weave public school expenses come next term, while praising successful immunization drives. Addressing Muslim leaders who raised exclusion from economic empowerment, demands for jailed members' release and scholarships, and an Islamic Institute for Nationalism, Museveni rejected friction claims, reaffirming NRM's non-partisan religious stance and plans to consolidate a Kanyehamba-led council to resolve grievances. To Sauti ya Vijana Youth, led by former chairman Jacob Reru, representing 3.1 million young voters and graduates, the president highlighted 30% of Ugandans are still out of the money economy despite industrial growth, urging robust road infrastructure and warning against corruption as a mass killer. Forum for Democratic Change FDC presidential candidate Nathan Nanda Mafabi expressed concern over the lack of a seed secondary school in Sironko district, saying limited land shouldn't hinder educational development. While campaigning in Sironko, Mafabi said seed schools can be constructed as on small plots, all through multi-storied building. Mafabi held rallies in Butenza, Bugusege, and Buwalase town, where large crowds gathered. He also interacted with the residents, receiving farm produce as a sign of support. At Mbogo Primary School playgrounds in Bukuro sub-county, Mafabi pledged to address teenage pregnancy and improve teachers' welfare through equal pay. He thanked residents for trusting him as Budali, the West Member of Parliament for 25 years, and promised to prioritize education and social services. Alliance for National Transformation and presidential candidate Major General Mugisha Muntu pledged to fight corruption at the highest level of government, blaming poor service delivery on the misuse of public funds. General Muntu made the remarks while campaigning in Bushenyi and Ibanda districts, where he addressed rallies in Ishaka Town Council, Retuha Town Council, and Katunda in Igara West constituency. He also promised to reduce the number of members of parliament to reduce government expenditure. Muntu told supporters that Uganda needs accountable leadership focused on service delivery. Under the National Unity Platform, NUP, led by its presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, together with the family of veteran opposition figure Dr. Kizza Besigye and the opposition leaders, held a special prayer service for political prisoners at Dr. Besigye's home in Kasangati. The prayers were led by Father Samuel Kabogoza from Rubaga Parish, St. Matiya Murumba, Old Kampala, and were attended by families of detainees, opposition politicians, and religious leaders. NUP Secretary General Davis Lubongoya and Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, plus other members of parliament, were among the other figures that joined the gathering. During the mass, Father Kabogoza condemned what he described as selective justice and urged judicial officers to uphold human rights, especially in politically sensitive cases. The priest later presented Kyagulanyi with a cross symbolizing leadership sacrifice and donated money to support campaign logistics. Addressing the gathering, the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago criticized what he called enforcement agencies over harassing and badly treating opposition politicians. Dr. Kizza Besigye's wife, Winnie Byanyima, thanked NUP for organizing the prayers and handed over funds donated by Dr. Kizza Besigye to support Kyagulanyi's campaign. During the opposition prayers, supporters were in one standing with those that are detained and praying for their
cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned or what we have stopped.
Assemble.